Good morning, everyone. Good evening and good afternoon, wherever you are, whenever you're listening to this. Welcome to the Weekly Energy Boost. My name is Elisheva, and I am joined this morning by David Guillaume, as almost always. David.
Oh, is that my computer?
David is so professional. So we are here, as we are every Monday morning, to share with you the spiritual energy weather forecast for the coming 7 days according to the wisdom of Kabbalah. David and I are both teachers at the Kabbalah Center, and what we do both with individuals and in our classes is share the powerful wisdom of Kabbalah that is not only powerful, it's also practical. Even though it's thousands and thousands of years old, it is still relevant today, and every week we do our best to sift through the volumes of wisdom to bring you the most practical and precise mission for the coming week. So this week we get to talk about something that we've been asked to dedicate a whole show to for quite some time. So we're excited to do that. But it's interesting to take the evil eye as a topic. A lot of people roll their eyes when they hear that, the evil eye. It sounds like an old wives' tale, or if you create your reality and you don't believe in it, then it doesn't affect you.
Right.
What do you tell people?
Well, I first want to start off because we have content to bring our audience, but also we engage with our audience. So if you want to ask us questions, if there's something specific you want us to focus on, if there's aspects of evil eye you want to understand better, put them in the comments now. Also let us know where you're coming from. It helps us energetically connect to wherever you are in the world. And of course, if you like, comment, and share, you will create more engagement for us, and we will pop up on your feed more often as well. So this week we have the power to understand what evil eye is, to protect ourselves from it, and to make sure we're not giving it.
Right.
And one of the things that we talk about in Kabbalah is how we communicate energy out into the world. And that's part of our gift, because we're all meant to be channels of the light of the Creator. We're all meant to be these conduits of energy. So we choose what kind of energy we bring out to the world. And the Kabbalists say that we bring energy out in three main ways. It's through our thoughts, our words, and our actions. But the eyes are the gateway of our thoughts, really. When we think certain things and we desire certain things, it gets communicated through the eyes.
Right. That's according to Kabbalah, the sight or the eyes, it's the most powerful of the senses.
Yes.
We use it both to draw energy and to share energy.
Exactly. And ultimately then, whatever your eyes see or whatever you do communicate with your eyes, you'll eventually manifest with your mouth. So when somebody's saying something inappropriate or negative or something that's making you uncomfortable, you have to know it actually started with their eyes first. It started with their eyes. Either they're looking in a way they shouldn't be looking, and then eventually it manifests as evil speech, which has its own element of chaos. But the first level of chaos is first started with the eyes. And the Kabbalists say something interesting. They say, really, we should have our eyes closed all the time. Right? Obviously, it doesn't mean that we kind of walk around through life stumbling with our eyes closed,
Right.
but it means that it leads to the first lesson I want to share, and then you can share some of the points that you have or chime in with what I'm saying. First lesson is that it's hard. Let's put it this way: if our goal is to have true fulfillment in life, a lot of people are very busy dealing with other people's lives.
Other people's fulfillment.
Other people's fulfillment, exactly. They're so busy with their opinion about other people, with trying to control other people, with trying to engage themselves in other people's lives, trying to vicariously live through their life. Parents do it with children all the time, and we get ourselves involved in other people's pathways. We get ourselves involved with our competitors. In business, we get ourselves involved with our friends who have relationships that we don't have. We consume ourselves with those pathways.
Right. And sometimes we do that with exes or siblings or friends, right? There is enough pie for everybody, according to Kabbalah, because everyone has their own pie. And we want our pie versus tasting from other people's pies.
Right. How much do we troll our exes to see, and they steal our energy. They steal our time, they steal our thoughts, they steal our energy. And we can spend 1 hour a day or sometimes 8 hours a day thinking about other people and what they're doing and how they're doing it and why they're doing it. And this is the first major trick of the opponent, to make sure you do not focus on your growth, on your success. So people who I know who are successful in a certain area are incredibly focused. They do not allow the noise around them. They do not even look around them. They don't even see other people. Sometimes very successful people are deemed insensitive, and it's because they just don't even look at other people, which is very interesting. They don't even care what you're doing. So you think they're insensitive. They're just hyper-focused on building their own lives. Now, of course, there's a balance, and that maybe is for another session. But first step is, how much of your time are you dedicating to other people's lives and other people's nonsense?
Well, sometimes, if you tune into those thoughts that about what everyone else is doing or what they have or what they don't have, you end up sounding like, and I often joke with people about this, that's the creator's job. The creator is the one who is responsible for making sure everybody gets exactly what they deserve and they don't get what they don't deserve. When we busy ourselves, it's like we're trying to be the upstairs office, and it's not effective, right? Because we don't get to decide who gets what money and who gets what soulmate and who gets, what illness. And it's not even a decision, right? People say, well, God hates me. God doesn't hate anybody, right? We're one of the essential principles of Kabbalah is that the universe is our mirror, right? Someone is asking here about, our thoughts not our thoughts. Our heart is what determines our reality. But when you think about it, of course, your intention is the seed of everything, right? So if your intention is to be the best channel of the light force of the creator that you can be, your eyes are going to be drawn to the things that are going to help you do that.
Right.
But if your heart is cold, closed, bitter, angry, and again, we have another great question about, when if you have an ex and the ex was a terrible person, how do you fix your thoughts and your attitudes about them so that you're not wishing bad for them or you're not hoping for the worst? I'm laughing because I probably heard that question maybe 200 times. This is really David's first point, and I think this is the overarching idea of everything today, is if you're focused on you, not from a selfish point of view, but if you're busy with your growth, your expansion, your path, your purpose, what everybody else is doing isn't going to affect you, and what everybody else thinks about you or says about you isn't going to affect you.
Correct.
That's you want the immune shot, the vaccine against evil eye. This is it.
Right. Somebody once came to our teacher, Rav Berg, and said, I feel like you hate me. And his answer was,
I don't have time to hate you.
I don't even have the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, you think I have the time to actually be invested in hating you? Because it takes a lot of time to hate somebody.
Right.
It takes a lot of time to be upset with someone. And so that is really the first point we're trying to make here, is how much time are we wasting thinking about other people, being busy with other people, worried about other people, when in reality we have no control over other people. Everyone around us is an illusion, according to Kabbalah. It is only our relationship with the Creator. And if we remember that, then of course everyone around us becomes effective forces in our life. But when we give them the power to steal energy from us, to bribe us, to hijack our consciousness, then we just become drained and we go by the wayside of our destiny.
And I think that there's people who use the flip side of that as an excuse. So for example, let's say, you need to, there's a step that you want to take in your life and you think, well, I don't want to hurt anybody, or I don't want to step on anybody else's toes. If you know that it's the right thing for you, and there's definitely ways that you can, system of checks and balances you can activate to make sure that it really is the best step forward for you. But that fear or worry of what are people going to think, what are people going to feel, what are people going to say, is a form of almost like self-evil eye. Don't worry about what they're going to, if it is the right thing, and they do get hurt, that's their choice. Right? We say in English all the time, you make me angry, you make me upset, you make me sad. Nobody can make you anything.
Right.
And so in this week, when the universe is going to be shining light on the ways that we're limiting, and that to me is maybe the second point, is that evil eye is not just something that we give others, it's something that we project on ourselves.
Right.
That we have, unfortunately, a tendency to limit ourselves. We have limitations that are tailor-made for our soul's purpose, and we're not talking about avoiding those limitations, but we're talking about not adding to those limitations.
Correct.
So, when people say, well, I'm never going to be that happy, says who, right? You're deciding you're not going to be that happy, or is that the universe's job to decide, what's right for you? And so part of it is stepping back and saying, okay, wait a second, what are those limiting beliefs or projections or thought patterns that I have that I can rewrite this week, right? And that would be an assignment I would suggest for everybody. It doesn't matter if you're listening to this show even 3 weeks from now. Sit down and or maybe for a week or so, and this is a good week to do that, write down anytime you have a limiting thought, write it down. What's the soundtrack of your limitations through life? I don't deserve, I don't need, I'm never going to have, I'm just going to be alone. Those kind of things create a path that wasn't there before. And we want to make sure that in this week, we're erasing the trails that we don't want to follow. You're laughing because you see something on the comments? Okay.
No. I'm listening to you, and I'm just looking at the comments of what people are writing about what you're saying, which I think is really nice.
Yeah. There's actually some great stuff. Okay, so go on. You were saying...
Now Elishev is taking us to the next phase of evil eye, which is evil eye upon ourselves. And if you want to make your life more difficult, then you can do what Elisheva said, which is think negative thoughts about yourself. If you want to have green lights and you want to move forward we have enough obstacles. You don't need to create more obstacles. And every time we complain or we say something self-deprecating or we say something like, I'm not good enough, or I'm not going to be able to accomplish this, or this is too hard for me. All these words, even if they're true, they create enemies, spiritual forces of enemies that actually stand in front of you, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. Now, you may still break through and become successful, but you create additional enemies with every negative word you say about something. If you say like, oh my God, I'm not losing weight, my body has such a hard time losing weight, you actually are training your body to slow down its metabolism, and you're telling it. You're creating more spiritual enemies inside your body that create that prophecy. And I know people, and these are non-spiritual people that I know, but they're very careful even with their words. They'll never say anything negative about their process. They'll never say anything negative about what they want to accomplish, and they'll just get there faster. So if there's any area of your life that you're looking for, if it's healing, like in your body, everyone's looking for external, internal healing on their body. If it's in a relationship that's stuck, or you're looking for a relationship, if it's in business and you're feeling cash flow issues or different kinds of issues, a lot of it can be a lot of it's probably slowed down because you're using negative speech, which is coming from your own evil eye about yourself or evil eye about your business. This industry.
Right.
This industry is always so, the U.S. economy is so, like somebody was telling me, California, so many regulations. It's like, okay, even if it's true, you shouldn't utter those words because you create negative forces.
That's something else that Rav Berg always used to say. Don't be a statistic.
Right.
You may, the real estate market may be on the decline, but you can be the agent who is selling houses. You can be the salesperson that is, having a record month, even though people around you are not. And right. I remember at a certain point in my own Kabbalah studies realizing that, I want to do the work of my soul. I don't want to add any unnecessary baggage to the work of my soul.
Correct.
And evil eye is one of those tricky things that ends up adding to the baggage. Mm-hmm. And one way that you can, and I say you can share this with others, you can share the show with others. One way that you can cease to add to your baggage is to make an effort to protect your blessings. And we've talked about this in various shows, but I don't know if it was ever in context of evil eye. One of our tendencies, and again, maybe you can say that social media simply exaggerates this to a ridiculous degree, but we live in a show-off world, mm-hmm. right? we share birth announcements, engagement announcements. I move to different company announcements, and there is a strategic way to do those things. Depending on the business that you're in or whatever.
Sure.
I don't want to say that it's completely bad, but one of the ways that the Kabbalists teach us we can protect ourselves from evil eye is protecting your blessings, is looking at the things that are precious to you and concealing them. There is always a time to reveal, right? And the time will come to reveal it. But asking ourselves in this week, what are the things that I'm showing off? Mm-hmm. And why am I doing it? Because inadvertently, when we do expose our blessings, reveal our blessings, we're also inviting the opinions and the attitudes and the limiting thoughts of other people to it.
Okay, very good. So now Elisheva is taking us to our third concept, and we got a lot of new viewers who pop in here in the middle. But just to let them know, first concept we talked about is staying in your lane. We're utilizing way too much of our time, energy, thoughts in being busy with what other people are doing and what they're thinking and what they're feeling and what they're saying.
This may be the week to go through your social media accounts and delete people that you follow for the wrong reasons.
I have if I could have a negative follow, you got to unfollow. You got to keep unfollowing. But
anybody that you look at their posts and you say, "Oh my God," unfollow them, or right? You don't have to unfriend them if that's the thing, but you can unfollow them so that you don't have to roll your eyes, because in rolling your eyes, you're sending out limiting energy, and that limiting energy comes back as a boomerang to you.
Correct. So that was our first concept. Second concept Elisheva brought up is stop cursing yourself. So we have to be careful, not just with our thoughts, but with our words. Every time we say anything negative about ourselves, about something we're trying to do, about the economy we live in, about the community we live in, you have to be very careful. When you say something negative, you create more spiritual enemy forces that make it harder for you to succeed in that area. So if you're ever wondering why it's so difficult for you in a certain area, it could just very well be if you audit your words and audit your language, you'll realize, wow, I'm saying 1,000 negative words a day about what I'm doing. So on top of just a normal process of success, I have to overcome 1,000 negative forces in addition to everything else I need to do to build this company or build this relationship or whatnot. Third concept Elisheva is breaking up, protecting our blessings. And this is a fine line because someone just put on my feed, isn't the goal to get a larger audience? I mean, think about it. Aren't we trying to get a larger audience to come listen to our radio show?
Absolutely.
Right? Don't we want more eyeballs on our show? Right?
Earballs.
Huh?
We want ears.
We want ears.
Yes.
Ears and eyes. Right?
Yes.
So this is an interesting issue. Now, if we only had 10 listeners, we'd have an easy life, and we'd have no problems, and it would be a smooth show.
Right.
As soon as we have, I think, whatever it is now, 5,000 people who listen or watch a week, it creates more problems because they're looking at us differently. So yes, there is an element of evil eye. Now, what happens when you have 1 million people looking at you? That's why you start getting hate mail, and that's why you start getting negative comments, and that's why you start getting people who oppose you. I've never seen a YouTube video that had 1 million thumbs up and 0 thumbs down, right? There's always a healthy ratio of the thumbs up versus the thumbs down. But what the Rav would always tell us, Rav Berg would tell us, is where's your head at? What's your head trip?
Right, why are we doing this?
Exactly. Why are you doing it? So if you want to have 1 million people in your audience, you have to be careful. Am I taking from them or am I adding value to them? That's one level. The second level is, I think you have to just be, if the things that are very dear and important to you, you might want to be more private about them, because no matter how you look at it. By the way,
you see that's natural law, by the way, right? If you plant flowers, trees, plants, herbs or whatever, there is a gestation period, right, in nature where you cannot see, and judging on the way things look, it looks like nothing is happening because what's happening is under the surface. When a person gets pregnant, it's concealed for a period of time, and the Kabbalists teach that there is a purpose to that. We should keep it concealed because it's in such a delicate state that any negative energy, any limiting thoughts or behaviors could have an impact on it. So we learn from nature that when things are precious, and especially, you go out on a date with somebody and you think It has real potential. What's the tendency? To post on your friend's group chat or to call everybody to reassure your mother and your grandmother and blah, blah, blah. I think I've met someone. According to Kabbalah, the best way to give it the future you want it to have is to keep it quiet. Right. And even in your own mind, as the thoughts come to obsess about it, to fantasize, to, visualize yourself in, 10 years from now in the don't be reactive about it, because even that positive reaction is creating an unnecessary, what's the word? Commotion.
Yeah.
That doesn't necessarily do the seed good.
And some practical things that people can do based on what Elisheva just said is anytime you have anything new, give it some time, or you just don't tell anybody about it. If you're dating somebody and it's going well, don't tell anybody about it. I mean, why do you need to? We have this compulsive need to reveal energy, but that also comes from our opponent because we're looking for approval and we're looking for people to like us, and we want to look relevant in the eyes of people.
That's a very subtle, that was like the second part B to what I wanted to say, is that sometimes we share things because we're insecure.
Right.
I talk about the person who has acknowledgement issues, acknowledgement tikkun, and so therefore he'll call his parents and brag about all the great things he did. Why is he doing it? To fill some sort of lack, some sort of inadequacy. So even in sharing, when we do share, right? You went to a great restaurant or you went to a bad restaurant, right? Why are you sharing it?
Exactly. So let's make it simple for her, because let's say I do want my parents' approval, but at the same time, I still want to tell my parents like what's going on in my life. Just that acknowledgement right before you pick up the phone and say, you know what, there's 50% of me that wants their approval. And there's 50% of me that wants to be a good son or daughter and tell them because they
share with them.
Life, right. So just that acknowledgement, that separation in your mind by saying, okay, spiritually, I do not want to take. Spiritually, I want to just focus on that 50%, which is giving. That alone is protection. So we're not going to all become perfect beings where we don't want our parents or everyone's approval. That's fine. You're always going to want your audience approval. You and I, we want the approval of our audience. We want them to like us. Of course we do. But we need to go into every show thinking, I'm not doing this so they like us. Of course, we appreciate when you like us, and even if you didn't like us, we'd appreciate that too. We'd want to know that you don't like us. But we're doing this because we're here to add value. And when you create that separation in your mind before you do anything, then you're protected. So let's go back to the gestation period. You're dating somebody and it's going well. I don't know what that time period is, but there is a gestation period of dating that if you tell too many people, their evil eye, those negative forces are going to actually ruin your relationship. You may actually break up, and it's because of what other people's energies are. So it's like you're having an intimate moment with you and your partner, and it's you, your partner, and eight people's energies
right.
in between the two of your embrace. So now when you do tell people, just check in with yourself and say, okay, wait, why am I telling my friends? Do they really need to know now? Or maybe just to maintain a good friendship and you need to have good communication, you should tell them. Fine. Okay. But at least you're pausing, you're analyzing, and that pause, we learn in Kabbalah, reveals the light of the Creator. That is the revelation of light, is that restriction that we do.
Right. And that isn't to say that there isn't a time to reveal. Right. You
must reveal at some point.
Right. At the end of every healthy gestation, there is a new life, a new tree, a new fruit. But really being conscious and honest with yourself about why am I sharing what I'm sharing right now? Right. Why am I exposing my blessings in this moment? And is there a way to move forward without exposing or without jeopardizing this precious thing that I want to come to fruition?
Any questions?
Well, in looking to the one great question, and one great question we have here is, what about people who are blind?
We learn in the Bible actually that the most spiritual people were blind, physically blind. So great sages, actually, the more they physically lost their sight, they spiritually saw.
Right.
And we know this actually scientifically, that all of a sudden all the other senses become enhanced. So people who, for example, can't see, they have such an acute understanding of sound that through sound waves, they actually do a map of what their terrain is like. So yes, do the other senses make up for it? Yes, but also spiritually, it's a very high level. Now, does that mean that everybody, if they were blind, would all be better off? That's not the point either, because we want to be able to see, so we have free will not to see. We want to blind ourselves spiritually, meaning I want to close my eyes when I see something that I shouldn't be looking at.
And
that's my choice now. That's my choice. So that's good. We want free will.
That could be a whole show in itself. You know, so much of modern society shows us negativity, right?
Right.
I mean, there's actually ads for food and drink that involve people wearing no clothing, and there is no image of the food or the drink on the advertisement. Or, you know, one of the things I learned early on, and this growing up in California, it's a thing, right? When there's a car accident on the road, what happens? Everybody slows down
Right.
to look.
Right.
According to Kabbalah, you should speed up and avert your eyes. That any expression of destruction, of violence, of anything that is not naturally meant to be seen, right? There's certain private things that should be seen in private, wink, wink. But the idea that we have the choice, right? And I see anytime there's an accident, right? And if I can get off the path, I'll get off the path. But, you know, telling my kids, don't look, don't try to see, don't look for the blood on the...
Unless you're actually going to help.
Well, okay, that's something
Right.
else.
No, I'm saying, if you're taking, you shouldn't look. If you're going to give, you should look.
Right. And there is a big... huge difference between those two scenarios. On the
Yes.
highway, when people are slowing down to see the drama and to be able to tell their friends they saw the accident happen. And look at the news even. There's like, just to get people to continue watching the broadcast, they're the most ridiculous things that are being shown. Right. And that free will to choose what we see is, I think, one of the biggest exercises of that free will, because you can be brought down or you can be elevated by what you see and what you expose yourself to. So even in looking, you ask yourself, why are you looking? What am I looking for? Am I looking to see, so-and-so lost their job? Do I enjoy that? That's a form of evil eye as well, looking for other people's demise and destruction. So part of that, you know, again, being connected to the heart and the soul and really asking to do the work of my soul is, I only want to see the things I need to see. I don't want to look for the things that are going to, you know, sometimes I mean, I know it happens to me. I heard, my dad told me a story about a guy my age who died of a heart attack. So I'm asking myself, why did he tell me? I didn't know the guy. It's only making me sad, right? He's the same age, was otherwise perfectly healthy, has a family, you know, was about to start a new job. Like, the story was just terrible. And I'm asking myself, why did I have to hear that? And I really worked hard not to be brought down, because my nature is to be sad, to be fearful when in hearing a story like that. And I really worked hard to say, you know what? That needs to give me a sense of urgency. I can't take anything for granted. None of us can. And how you know, again, this is a very sort of mundane, we hear about, unfortunately, people dying all the time. How do you use the things that could bring you down to lift you up?
Right.
That's a way to take potentially limiting evil eye scenarios. You know, you do see an accident by accident. You see it. How can you use that moment to step up rather than fall down?
So Elisheva is bringing us to our fourth concept, which is, let's say you do see something, right? We live in a society where the Creator is showing us a reality of other people's lives all the time. What do you do with that? You have to launder that. You have to transform that in your mind.
That's a great way to say it, to launder it.
To launder it, right?
Yeah.
So let's say you see you see a friend who has something that you don't even feel they should have. Instead of allowing it to gestate in your mind and consume you and become a cancer inside your mind, immediately transform it and create inspiration from it, right? Send them love. Send them, like, I like to send a wall of white light to bless them. I remind myself that no one can take what I have and I can't take what someone else has. So I'm not going to waste my time. And then I transform it to some form of inspiration. I say, Creator, you're showing me this because you want me to aspire to it. And that's actually a Kabbalistic truth, that every time the Creator wants to give you a gift, before that energy comes into your life, you're first shown that energy in the hands of someone else. as a test to see if you bless them or if you curse them. And by the way, if you just look at them and don't say anything, that's a curse. Because anything that creates a lack in you, you're actually cursing them, even if you're not actually cursing them. So a curse is wishing bad on anyone. And anytime you feel lack from what someone else has, you are inadvertently wishing bad on them, which is interesting, right? Two sisters who love each other, one gets pregnant before the other. Obviously, their sister's happy for her other sister who got pregnant, but she has a slight pain of how she doesn't have a child yet. If she doesn't transform that in her mind right away, that's evil eye. And that is hurting her sister. Even though she loves her sister and even though she would never want her sister to lose that baby, just that lack alone that was created and not transformed is giving evil eye to her sister.
By the way, we're more than halfway done with the show, and we need to talk about protecting ourselves also. So I just want to make sure.
Wait, so what was the last point? We didn't fully flesh it out. The fourth point was, remind me, what were we just talking about? Oh, gosh, I just said it. I was piggybacking on your concept.
Gestation, just stating the.
Oh, transforming. That's
gestating.
Right. Transforming, gestating. We just use that word for every concept.
Everything.
Transforming what you see to something positive immediately, so that it doesn't stay as a cancer in your mind.
Right. And having traveled, and I say this kind of candidly, let's say, traveling with kids, I get on an airplane with my kids and I can feel the vibration of the airplane drop like 90%. Like people are like, oh my God, what's this one? I hope the kids are going to keep quiet. Hopefully they're not going to sit behind me, in front of me, or next to me. Like, and I'm sure those of you who are listening and you see somebody with a baby or young kids get on the plane and freaking, you get nervous. That is an example as well of evil eye. And I'm using that as
we all do it.
That's, or, you see, by the way, it happened to me not long ago that somebody came up to me in the center at an event and said something like, how many kids do you have? Isn't that enough? And I was like, you're going to take care of them? It was a very, they were joking, obviously. But that we have to understand that looking at somebody and thinking, they can't handle it. What are they doing? I hope they stay away from me. That's evil eye too. That, to me, that's one of the most difficult things about evil eye is that if it's not a blessing, it's evil eye. If you're not wishing good, it's evil eye. Right. Because that, as an example, somebody, like you were saying, is dating somebody, and, one of the two in the relationship is drop dead gorgeous and the other is not drop dead gorgeous. You look at them and you think, she doesn't deserve him. Or how did she get him? Or she must be rich. Or not, you have these thoughts. David's saying, why do we do this show? Imagine if everybody who listens to this show this week stops with those thoughts, stops giving that vibration out into the universe. What kind of transformation and change will be? Right.
Because those thoughts impede your success. Everyone's trying to be successful in every area of life, and these thoughts are just putting them in this like sludge of and slowing you down,
right,
and taking you backwards and making you feel bad. And sadness, depression, it all comes from evil eye. All of those negative emotions, 95% of the time, it's just coming from our thoughts and our eyes in the wrong place.
Right. And that whole idea of, the eyes are the windows to the soul, that also works to our advantage. And, a lot of what we find in Kabbalistic meditation, somebody was posting here about the Zohar, the Ana B'Koach, 72 names of God, the idea behind them, sometimes people say, well, how do you say this name? Right? When in Kabbalah, there's different, we call them visual mantras, different combination sequences of letters that we can use to shift our energy, to create breakthroughs, to open channels of spiritual energy. And it's done much more with the eyes than with the mouth.
Correct, yeah.
And so that just shows you, that the access way into the spiritual realm is in the eyes. And, the question about being blind, I remember there was a student in the Kabbalah Center in Israel who was blind, and he asked the Rav, how can he make those connections with the Hebrew letters? And the Rav said, just like everybody else, just because you don't, with your brain, perceive the connection through the eye channel, doesn't mean that your eyes are not making that connection for you.
So very good. And these are points 5 and 6 just for everybody. We have a lot of points. So if you're hearing this in the middle of the recording, go back. We have 6 points we've spoken about so far. You spoke about passive evil eye, which is done very frequently with people that we love. When you've spent a lot of time with someone, let's say when you just meet someone, you have a fresh new understanding of them. So you're not giving them really any evil eye. You're not expecting them to disappoint you. You're not expecting them to kind of fall back to these negative habits that they have. It's fresh, it's exciting, and it's new. So there's no evil eye really. When you get to know someone and spend a lot of time with them and you see them all the time, as soon as they walk into the room, you're thinking, oh, here we go. Here we go.
They call you up and say, I got a new job. And you think, well, that's not going to last.
Right. Exactly. Like, oh, look at them. They're so excited now. Watch. In 20 minutes, They're going to be complaining.
That
is the worst passive evil eye.
Us.
That's the worst passive evil
Absolutely.
eye. And what you do every time you think, oh, watch, in 20 minutes, they're going to just fail. What you're doing is you're limiting them. And you're actually ruining their life.
But
you're ruining their life for sure. And as a result, that negative energy comes back to you.
But that's important. It's not just be a better person, don't ruin their life. It's that sludge accumulates on you and makes what you need to do that much more difficult.
Exactly. Maybe the reason why your kid's not doing well in school is because you're expecting them not to do well in school.
That's very deep.
Right? If that,
go back and repeat that slowly.
The reason why maybe your child is not doing well in school is because you're anticipating them not to do well in school. You're expecting them to fail. You're expecting them to disappoint you because
and you could be saying that about your
times.
Husband, wife, parents, coworkers,
for sure.
boss,
I was
whatever.
going there next. People doing it with their spouses all the time because as time goes on, all you do is you see more negativity. And the reason why the Creator shows us the negativity of our spouses or our other halves or our partners is so that we can reach the highest level of love, which is unconditional love. You can't have unconditional love till you see all the negativity. So while it looks like you're taking a step back in your relationship by seeing all the garbage, and you're wondering, well, this isn't good. This isn't as exciting as it once was when we were dating. The Creator is trying to take you to the highest level, which is, here's all the garbage. Now can you love
regardless.
Love with the garbage, which
love
is the
garbage.
Love the garbage. It's the highest level of love. Everybody loves when they're being treated great.
It's not about how much you love someone when you love them. It's about how much you love them when you hate them.
Exactly, and that is the highest spiritual level. And if you're aiming to get to the highest spiritual level, which even if you're not, the Creator's going to force you there.
It's a lot easier to go when you can than to go when you have to.
Exactly. And that's pretty much what Kabbalah is giving us, that ability to go with the stream and not fight life, because life is pushing us in one direction and we need to follow it. So that was the 5th point. The 6th point that you just mentioned, I'm adding to it. The reward of protecting your eyes, the reward for us of closing our eyes, not looking even physically around, not turning our neck, looking at things that don't even belong to us and we're probably never even going to have. If you protect your eyes, you'll be given vision and spiritual vision. So one of the reasons why we don't know how a deal is going to work out, or we don't know how...
We're not sure if that's the right person or that's the right deal or that's the right apartment or anything
or
else.
the right decision. Like we're unsure. What decision do I make? Do I travel to this place? Do I go on this trip? Or maybe you bought a ticket somewhere and the next thing you know, you wasted your money because you can't go there. The reason why we don't see the future is because we're abusing our eyes in the wrong way. If a person was actually always protecting their eyes, never giving evil eye, or maybe when they see something and they feel that pain, they transform it immediately. The reward is that the Creator shows us divine inspiration. Exactly.
You can see the unseen when you focus on seeing
exactly.
the right thing.
And you become more intuitive. You start to see the world to come, it's called. The world to come doesn't mean another world or when a person dies. The world to come means the next 10 minutes. Next 10 minutes, exactly. I want to know that there's an accident that could happen in an hour, and by having that vision, maybe I will drive safer. So, and we all have that. We all have these premonitions, like something bad's about to happen. That's
Don't put your
spiritual
keys
vision.
there. Don't put your keys there. You're going to forget them. And then you...
Correct.
That's a very basic one. You hear, don't eat that, you're going to regret it, and then you eat it anyway, and then you regret, right? That listening more to that voice is what amplifies it.
Correct. If I'm not mistaken, actually, I know the month of Leo is. I'm wondering if the month of Cancer relates to the eyes.
It is. It's about the work of the month of Cancer is seeing the good. is
Okay.
looking for the good. It's activating 100%. I saw it written in every set of notes I had about the
Okay,
month.
good. I was
That's
wondering.
the work of this month, is seeing the good, and that doesn't mean it's going to be easier. The opposite, it means it'll probably be harder. And so that one of earlier in the show I said, write down, take note of those negative and limiting, defeating thoughts. Don't only take after you've come up with your laundry list. Next to each one, what is the thought that you can replace that with? That's the harder thing, right? So it's not just, Kabbalah doesn't teach to fight the darkness. Kabbalah teaches us to replace the darkness with light. So if you have that thought of, here we go again, right? When your coworker
Here we
starts,
go again should never be in your thought or in your words.
figure out what those blurbs are that you hear. Oh, good luck with that, or
Good luck with
that's a big one. I hear people say that a lot. What's the thought that you can replace that with? And even if it sounds difficult to you, choose only one
Right.
to replace,
Right.
and really work on replacing it so that you rewrite the script that your mind repeats over and over and over again. I have a question for you though. Another self-defeating evil eye question.
Please.
I know a lot of people, and this is I think it's appropriate because one of the challenges for Cancerians is holding on to the past and nostalgia and the good old days. I know a lot of people out there that wish for the past.
Mm-hmm.
They wish they could go back to when they were younger, thinner, when things were easier, when they were happier. And to a certain extent, to me, it seems like that's a form of evil eye. Evil eye on the current self, evil eye, limiting the how do you let go of that when things, you thought they were better then. From where you stand now, they looked like they were better then.
Yeah. I remember a lesson when I was just in my teenage years, and before I came to Kabbalah, I'd made a disgusting amount of money as a teenager, which I hadn't earned. It just came from certain ways. And then I lost it all. And then my teacher said, stop looking at your past, because I kept saying, if I had done this, if I had done that, if I had put the money here. And he said to me, if you had it in your past, if you had these good memories and these pleasures in the past, you need to know that your vessel means it can hold this power, this energy. Focus now, today, to just build the vessel to draw that energy back.
So it doesn't mean that you'll fit into the size 4 clothes, but it means you can have the happiness that you perceived that you had as a size 4.
Right. I think people think, well, I'll never be as happy or as youthful or as whatever as I was. But even that thought means that you're limiting the creator.
But that's my point. That
is evil eye.
That by admiring or having nostalgia for something that was in the past, you're limiting what you can have now.
Exactly.
That's what's really important to remember about it.
Every time I have a limiting thought of a type of pleasure that I may not have, that I once had in the past, I remember that the creator is not limited. And if I every time you think that you can't have something today that you had in the past, it means that you believe the creator is limited. And that is a major, major short circuit. You're cutting yourself off of miracles. It's not up to you to figure out how that pleasure will come. It's not up to you. I mean, maybe because of your certainty and your positivity, you'll create technological advancement that will actually make you look even better than you did when you were 19 years old. So you have to have that. I think it's this Aquarian mind, which is anything is possible, unlimited. I don't care what anybody thinks or says. We have to have that as an antidote against evil eye, because evil eye is this heavy, weighing down, pessimistic view of life, and it's draining and it's wasting everyone's time.
Right. So this is really the week to break free of those. It's self-imposed. That's the problem. We want to deal with the challenges and the obstacles that are there to get us to our greatness. We want those.
Yeah.
We want the shining moments that are going to be ours when we work through those things. We simply want to stop adding to. We don't want the unnecessary. We want to work on the necessary, but not have to deal with anything that's unnecessary. And that's often one of the things that I in my own prayers I ask for is, let me stay focused on the necessary, the important, the essential, and not be busy with the unessential.
If you're meant to be great, you'll first be jealous of someone who's great. If you're meant to have amazing children, you'll first be jealous of people who have amazing children. Anything that you're meant to have, you'll first be tested by being jealous of other people who have it. And that is a test. You must catch it as it is a test.
You reminded me of something. One of the teachers years and years and years ago 25, 26 years ago, something like that. I was probably babysitting or something with one of the families in the center. And one of the teachers said to me, be patient and don't judge those kids and their parents, because what you judge in other people's kids will come to you.
This is what you taught me.
And that to me was like, oh my God, everybody's kids are amazing. I love everybody's kids. Everybody's an angel, because I she motivated me with whatever you don't like, you're going to get. But what's interesting is that idea, so-and-so gets a new job and you think, oh, they can't handle that kind of responsibility. What you're really saying is, I can't handle responsibility. Right. That, you don't need to be busy with what they can handle, and you certainly don't want to be diminishing what you can do. Right. So, we gave a lot of advice, a lot of suggestions this week. Feel free. You can always re-listen to the show.
For sure you should be listening. I know people who listen to the show 3, 4, 5 times, because each time you hear a new secret, because it's energy. It's not really our words. It's the show is different each time you hear it.
Right. And if you're listening to the podcast, take a moment to subscribe so that you can get this delivered to you automatically every week. We not only do the show live on Facebook every Monday, we are also on iTunes, Spotify, Castbox, Google Play, Stitcher. Did I say iHeartRadio? And iHeartRadio.
And people can comment throughout the week.
Right.
We respond to those comments. We engage with our audience throughout the week, even if you listen to it on Facebook at any time. And of course, support us by sharing it and liking. And this is a concept universally that everyone can hear. I mean, you don't need to be a Kabbalah student to hear this wisdom. This is life-changing wisdom that we spoke about today.
Absolutely. And if there is anything that you want to share or ask that you don't feel comfortable doing in public, you can always also email us.
You can call Alicia personally on her cell phone.
Absolutely. At 310, just kidding, at energyboost@kabbalah.com. And if you have something that you ask that you want us to talk about on the show, we don't always get to it immediately, but if you do have a question that we can answer personally, we will do our best to do that. Any final anti-evil I words?
Just like we said, every time every time you look at something and it's bothering you, know that you're actually on your way to greatness in that area. Don't give it evil eye.
Don't give it evil eye, because you're on your way. You're on your way there yourself. Everyone have a fabulous week, and we will see you next Monday here on Facebook at the Weekly Energy Boost, or on our podcasts. Thanks for listening.
10 a.m. Pacific time.
10 a.m. Pacific on the Weekly Energy Boost.